Today, 4 simple steps of how you can follow through with a backdoor Roth IRA. Before we dive into it, if you are new here, my name is Brad. I make videos with tips and motivation on how to get out of debt, save money, invest, all on a path to financial independence by showing through my own personal experience. If that's a path that you're on, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you a part of the YouTube family. I think the first time I ever heard about the backdoor Roth was while listening to Dave Ramsey podcast. He always talked about the Roth IRA, and for some people that weren't eligible for a Roth IRA, they could do a traditional IRA and do this thing called a backdoor Roth that would legally allow them to get money from a traditional IRA into their Roth IRA if they were over the income limit. So what does that exactly mean? Well, what it means is right now, as of 2019, if you are a single filer and you make over $137,000 a year, you are ineligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. And if you are married filing jointly, that amount is $203,000. And I understand for a lot of us, that is a lot of money. If you make under that amount of money, then you're good. You won't need to do the backdoor Roth because you are able to contribute right into the Roth IRA. And if you're somebody that has an income above that threshold, you might be thinking to yourself, well, why would I want to go Roth over traditional? So let's talk about some reasons why you might want to perform this backdoor Roth. Well, the major benefit of a Roth IRA is that it is going to grow tax-free over time. You put in money to the Roth IRA post-tax, and then it grows tax-free for its entirety. So whenever you pull money out later in life, you will not have to pay taxes on any of those gains. So for people that think that they are going to be in a higher tax bracket later in life, the Roth IRA, it's an amazing vehicle. You might want to also consider a Roth if, you're one of those paranoid people or you don't really know what's going to happen with taxes in the future. We really don't know. But by using the Roth IRA, you kind of set a fixed path and you know that it's going to grow tax-free regardless of politics and what happens to tax code down the line. And lastly, maybe you have a 401k or a 403b that's already tax deferred, meaning that, you already put money into that pre-tax to lower your W-2. So maybe you want to diversify a little bit and have some of that tax-free growth as well. So you really wouldn't want the traditional IRA in addition to a 401k or 403b. So you might want to convert to the Roth then. And I'll say this, when I first heard about the backdoor Roth, I thought it was something like sketchy, like we were pulling one over on the IRS. Guys, I want to make it completely clear. A backdoor Roth is a perfectly legal operation, but it is a part of the tax code. So we really can't depend on this. You might be watching this in the future and the backdoor Roth has just been taken away. It is a tax policy. So we don't know how long it's going to be around for. So that's another reason why people might want to opt to do it now, because this might be taken away from you in the future. First, a couple prerequisites before we get to the steps. The first thing that you might want to do is lower your modified adjusted gross income to become eligible for the Roth directly. You can do this by contributing to your 401k, 403b, 457, HSA, your flex account, your TSP, whatever you have that's tax deferred that can lower your W-2 under those thresholds of $203,000 for married and $137,000 for single. Something else is that you should not have money in other tax deferred IRAs. Now this does not include your 401k or your 403b. I'm talking money in a traditional IRA, a simple IRA, a SEP IRA, something like that. You do not want to have money in those already. And if you do, the backdoor Roth isn't completely off the table for you, but you are going to want to sit with your tax consultant, your CPA, because you're going to have to watch out for something that you might have heard called the pro rata rule, where you are going to have to pay taxes on gains and things like that. If you have money in other tax deferred IRAs, I would work on getting rid of those and rolling those into something like a 401k or a 403b and bringing that value down before you think about the backdoor Roth. If you start doing the backdoor Roth while you have money in other tax deferred IRAs, there could be a chance that you will pay taxes on the money twice if you don't do your paperwork right. So it's just easier to say if you have money in other tax deferred IRAs, once again, not including your 401k or 403b, I would work on getting those out, rolling those into something so that there will be no risk of paying taxes twice when you do the backdoor. Okay, so you've lowered your modified gross income, you don't have any money in other tax deferred accounts, you are over the threshold, and you want to take advantage of the Roth. Here are the 4 steps in following through with a backdoor Roth. Step number 1 is open a traditional IRA, and also you need to open a Roth IRA. And a lot of the big companies out there and the reputable companies are going to allow you to open both of those even with a zero balance in each. The next thing that you are going to do is that you are going to contribute money into the traditional IRA, the amount that you want to roll over. Now, this all doesn't need to be done at once, but the actual action of putting money in and then rolling that's going to happen in a 2 to 3 day period, depending on how long it takes your bank to transfer money into that institution. So maybe you want to do this quarterly, yearly, bi-yearly. That's really up to you. I know a ton of people that just do it on the second day of the year. They get it done, they get it out of the way, they put money into the traditional IRA, and that's that. And when you put money into the traditional IRA, you're going to put it into something that doesn't really have a lot of fluctuation in the market. We don't really want there to be any capital gains or any losses in the day or two before we start to roll over into the Roth. For Vanguard, they call this the Prime Money Market Fund. And all this is really a holding fund before you start moving money into the investments that you want. And this money that we're going to be putting into the traditional IRA is post-tax dollars. So once we have the Roth IRA opened up and the traditional IRA, we've contributed post-tax dollars into the traditional IRA, and it's sitting in a fund like a Prime Money Market Fund. We are going to be ready for step number 3. Step number 3 is to take the money and roll it into the Roth IRA. Now on Vanguard's site, which is what I'm familiar with, when you do this, they are going to warn you that this is a taxable event. And this will most likely be the case with whatever institution that you use. Because for people that do not have a W-2 job, they use a traditional IRA as a tax-deferred retirement account. Meaning that in a traditional IRA, when you take money out, you would pay taxes upon that withdrawal. Well, when you convert into that Roth IRA, taxes must be paid. But if you put money into the traditional IRA post-tax, then you don't have to worry about this warning. It's going to be okay. You will not pay taxes on it twice if you put post-tax dollars into the traditional and then in a day or two, move it right over to the Roth IRA. That really is it. There is one more step that is super important though. You must tell your accountant that you did this. There is a form that they are going to have to fill out. It's 8606 on your 1040. These forms are going to tell the IRS that you put post-tax dollars into the traditional IRA and then rolled it into the Roth, so the IRA doesn't think, why weren't taxes paid when you rolled it into the Roth? Form 8606 is just going to let the IRS know that, in fact, the money that went into the traditional account was post-tax. So taxes had already been paid on that dollar amount, so that when you did roll it, we are good to go. You don't have to pay taxes twice. And this is a prime example of why it's always such a great idea, and I highly recommend always talking to your CPA, always talking to your accountant, and let them know these things that you are going to do with your money. It's, don't just listen to a guy like me. I could miss a critical error, and I would hate for something to go wrong, but always check with your professionals first. If you have a spouse, you can go ahead and repeat the same exact, if you have the amount of money to repeat with your spouse. And one last thing to consider. Now that the money has been moved from the traditional IRA to the Roth IRA, it is considered a converted fund. It is not a contribution. So just like in a Roth conversion ladder, you have to wait 5 years before you can take that money out penalty free. With contributions, you could take the money out at any time, but with converted funds, like I said, there is this time waiting period of 5 years. So if you're gonna do something like this backdoor Roth or the Roth conversion ladder, make sure that you are not going to need those funds for 5 years. Because if you do, you are going to pay a penalty to get that money out. There is an article by Physicians on Fire that I'm going to leave in the description down below. He actually walked through with screenshots every single step of this process this year with his Vanguard account, and it's where I got a lot of the information for this video. I highly recommend it, especially if you want to see the screenshots and if you're going to go the route of Vanguard. The reason that I didn't show you mine is because I am under the threshold limit, but I wanted to do some research for those people that are high earners that are considering the backdoor Roth. I'll leave a playlist with all of the retirement account videos that I did. And down here, I'll give you a video on the Roth conversion ladder, which is a little bit different than the backdoor Roth. If you got some value from this video, I ask, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new here. And until I see you on the next one, guys, stay positive, work really, really hard, always be kind to others. I hope you have yourself an amazing day and a better tomorrow.